The textbook slammed into Hana's shoulder before she could dodge it. "Move, scholarship trash," Yuna hissed, her designer bag swinging as she strutted past. Laughter rippled through the hallway of Seoul Imperial Academy, where marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers, and every face turned away from Hana like she carried a disease. Hana bent to retrieve her scattered papers, her fingers trembling. 3 years of this, 3 years of being invisible unless someone needed a target. She gathered her things quickly, head down, survival instinct honed sharp. "Pathetic," someone muttered. She'd almost made it to the stairwell when the crowd shifted like a tide pulling back from shore. Whispers became reverent silence. Even Yuna straightened her posture, smoothing her hair. Lee Min-joon glided through the hallway like he owned the air itself. And perhaps he did. Heir to the Lee conglomerate, face carved by artists' dreams, eyes that held winter's coldest beauty. Students pressed against lockers to let him pass. He never looked at anyone. Why would gods notice mortals? Hana turned toward the stairs. She had a shift at the convenience store in an hour, then tutoring until midnight. No time for... The shove came from behind. Hana stumbled forward, papers flying again. Min-joon turned at the commotion, and physics became cruel poetry. Their trajectories intersected perfectly. His lips touched hers, and for one heartbeat the world held its breath. Then energy exploded between them like lightning finding ground. Hana gasped as warmth flooded through her veins, electric and ancient. Min-joon's eyes widened, irises flashing gold before returning to brown. Behind him, something shimmered. 9 translucent tails, each tipped with blue fire, flickering into view for a split second before vanishing. Screams erupted. 5 students collapsed simultaneously, their bodies hitting the floor with sickening thuds. Their eyes remained open, staring at nothing, chests rising and falling in mechanical rhythm while their souls drifted somewhere unreachable. "What did you do?" Yuna shrieked, backing away from Hana like she'd sprouted horns. "What kind of monster are you?" But Min-joon stared at Hana with an expression she'd never seen on his perfect face. Raw, unfiltered terror mixed with something else. Wonder. The ambulances came. The students were alive but unresponsive, eyes open and glassy, trapped in bodies that had become prisons. School officials swarmed, demanding explanations no one could give. Through it all, Hana felt Min-joon's gaze burning into her back, heavy with questions she didn't understand. She ran the moment they let her leave. Her tiny apartment in Guro district was 40 minutes by subway, worlds away from the academy's pristine campus. Hana locked the door, pressed her back against it, and tried to breathe. What had she seen? Those tails, that golden light, the way his kiss had felt like drowning and flying at once. She touched her lips, and they still tingled with residual electricity. But she didn't know what was coming for her. The knock came at midnight. "I know you're awake." Min-joon's voice drifted through the door, soft and dangerous. "We need to talk." Hana's pulse hammered. How had he found her address? Why was he here? "Go away." "You survived." "That's impossible. I need to understand why, and you need to understand what you've become part of." Every instinct screamed danger, but curiosity won. She opened the door a crack. He stood in her dingy hallway looking like a prince in a pauper's world, still wearing his school uniform. But his eyes held something new, desperation and a hunger that made her skin prickle. "What are you?" she whispered. "Let me in and I'll explain everything. I promise you're safe from me. You're the only person in this world who is." Against every survival instinct, she did. Min-joon paced her small room, his movements predatory and graceful, like a caged wolf calculating escape routes. "My family isn't human. We're Gumiho, 9-tailed fox spirits. For 300 years we've lived among humans hidden in plain sight, feeding on their life force." He paused, watching her face. "Through kisses. One kiss and a human soul becomes ours. They fall into a coma, eventually dying as we consume what makes them alive." Hannah's blood turned to ice. "The students... collateral damage when you broke my curse." He turned to face her, and now she saw the inhuman beauty clearly, the way shadows bent around him wrong, the way his pupils reflected light like an animal's. Every Gumiho born carries a curse until our 100th year. Each kiss drains souls, but we can't stop. It's compulsion, hunger, punishment for our ancestors' sins. His voice dropped to barely a whisper. You're the first person who's ever survived my kiss. The curse shattered the moment our lips touched. But I don't understand why you lived when everyone else falls. I'm nobody, Hana said, her voice shaking. Just a scholarship student from Africa trying to survive. You're something more, something powerful enough to break 300-year-old magic. He moved closer and she smelled autumn leaves and smoke. My father will find out. When he does, he'll come for you. The Lee family doesn't believe in coincidences and they don't tolerate threats. Then I'll leave Seoul. Go back home where your family can't reach me. Min-joon laughed, bitter and sharp. You think geography matters to immortals? We've hunted across continents. There's only one way to protect you. He met her eyes. Tomorrow you become my girlfriend. Publicly, officially. We announce it to the entire school. You're insane. I'm your only chance at survival. His eyes met hers, and for a moment, she saw past the cold beauty to something raw underneath. Fear, yes, but also loneliness that matched her own. My father would dissect you to understand what you are, but if you're under my protection, claimed as mine, he'll hesitate. Old laws still bind us. A Gumiho's chosen mate is sacred, untouchable by the clan. But why would anyone believe you'd date me? I'm the girl everyone torments, Hana asked, and something flickered across his face. Was it shame? Because I'll make them believe. Because I'm Lee Min-joon, and when I want something, I take it. They'll accept it because they have no choice. He reached out, stopped just short of touching her cheek. You have until morning to decide. Run and die alone or stay and play the part. Either way, your normal life ended the moment our lips touched. He left her with those words, and Hana didn't sleep that night. The announcement came during morning assembly. Principal Kim cleared his throat, adjusting his glasses nervously, and Min-joon stood, pulling Hana up beside him before she could protest. The entire student body of 800 students stared in collective disbelief. Hana and I are dating, Min-joon said simply, his voice carrying across the silent auditorium. His hand found hers, fingers interlacing with casual possession that looked natural, practiced. Anyone who has a problem with that can speak to me directly. The silence was deafening. Then chaos erupted, gasps, shouts, someone's chair scraping as they stood in protest. Yuna's face turned purple with rage, her perfectly manicured hands clenching. But Min-joon's cold smile silenced them all. He raised their joined hands like a declaration of war, and every phone in the room lifted to capture the moment. From then on, Hana's life became a waking nightmare. Hate messages flooded her phone within minutes. Gold digger. Disgusting. Go back to Africa. Someone spray-painted slurs on her locker in bright red paint. Girls who'd once ignored her now glared with active hatred. Teachers who'd once pretended she didn't exist now watched with suspicious, calculating eyes, wondering what leverage she'd use to snare the school's golden boy. But Min-joon kept his word. He appeared beside her between classes in the cafeteria where his presence turned heads, walking her home through streets where Seoul's neon lights cast everything in unreality. His presence was a shield in a cage, protection and prison intertwined. Smile, he murmured one afternoon, pulling her close as cameras flashed. Some students' Instagram would immortalize this moment, spread it across social media. Look like you're in love? I'm a terrible actress, Hana replied. Then remember this, we're both prisoners now. You of my protection, me of your mystery. We might as well make the cage comfortable. His breath was warm against her ear. Besides, I've played roles for 100 years. Let me teach you. Despite everything, something shifted between them over the following weeks. Min-joon started staying after his formal escort duties ended. They'd sit in her tiny apartment, and he'd talk about the weight of immortality, the hollowness of existence without consequence, the way centuries blurred into meaninglessness when death never came. She told him about her grandmother in West Africa, about dreams of becoming a doctor, about loneliness in a foreign land where her skin marked her as a permanent outsider. "You make me feel human," he said one night, voice quiet as they shared cheap ramyeon on her floor. I'd forgotten what that was like, to want to know someone not for what they can give you, but just to know them. "Maybe you're more human than you think." "No." His smile was sad. "Humans don't leave soul-drained bodies in their wake." The dinner invitation came in the form of a black car that appeared outside Hana's apartment like a hearse. Min-joon's father, Lee Sang-hyun, requested their presence at the family estate. The driver made it clear refusal wasn't an option. The Lee mansion sprawled across Gangnam's hills like a sleeping dragon. Traditional Hanok architecture merged with modern wealth, creating something timeless and deeply unsettling. Servants moved like shadows, their footsteps silent on stone pathways. The air tasted of old magic, thick and cloying in Hana's throat. Sang-hyun waited in a garden where cherry blossoms bloomed out of season, petals falling like pink snow in October. He looked 40, but his eyes held centuries. When he smiled at Hana, she saw Min-joon's face as an older man, beautiful, terrible, utterly inhuman. "So this is the girl who survived my son's curse." He circled her slowly, predator assessing prey. "Interesting. Your aura tastes of old blood, ancient blood." His eyes flashed gold, vertical pupils appearing for just a moment. "Tell me, Hana, what was your grandmother's full name?" "Bola Wanjiku." Hana's voice barely held steady. "Wanjiku." Sang-hyun's smile widened, showing too many teeth. "That name appears in our archives. 300 years ago, a shaman from the south came to Korea. She was among those who helped trap our kind, bind us with curses and laws." He stopped directly in front of her, so close she could smell copper and incense. "You carry her bloodline. That's why you're immune. That's why you broke Min-joon's curse." His hand shot out, gripping her chin hard enough to bruise. "And that's why your blood could restore what we've lost." Min-joon moved between them, foxfire crackling around his hands. "Father, she's under my protection." "The law, your protection?" Sang-hyun laughed, releasing Hana. "Boy, you've grown weak. I can smell it on you like rot. The curse breaking didn't free you. It's destroying you. Without feeding, without the foxfire, you'll die within months." He turned his ancient gaze on his son. "But her blood could save you." "Save all of us. The question is whether you're strong enough to take it, or if you've become too human to do what's necessary." Hana's apartment felt smaller that night with Min-joon's tension filling it. He stood at her window staring at Seoul's neon sprawl, his shoulders tight. "He's right. I'm dying. I can feel the foxfire fading, like winter settling into my bones and staying. There has to be another way. I've searched for 100 years. I've read every text, consulted every shaman who'd speak to me. There isn't another way." He turned to face her, and his eyes held something she'd never seen before. Anguish that made him look genuinely young, genuinely afraid. "I tried so hard not to feel anything for you. You were supposed to be a shield, a strategy, but you made me remember what it's like to want something beyond survival, to care about someone else's pain more than my own." Hana crossed to him, her heart hammering. "Then we figured this out together." "Hana." She kissed him. No curse, no magic, just lips meeting in the darkness of her small room, just two people choosing connection over fear. When they parted, tears streaked his face, catching the city lights. "I've kissed 1,000 people," he whispered, "but I've never felt this. Like my heart actually beats for someone." The attack started 3 days later. Other Gumihos, drawn by rumors of Hana's blood spreading through their underground network, came hunting. Min-joon fought them off in alleyways and rooftops, foxfire blazing blue and silver, but each battle left him weaker. His skin grew pale as paper, his movements slower, the light in his eyes dimming. Jisoo, Hana's only friend at the academy, cornered her in the library on a gray Thursday afternoon. "What's happening to you? People are saying crazy things, that Min-joon's family isn't human, that you're part of some supernatural conspiracy." Her voice cracked. I've watched you suffer for 3 years. Now suddenly you're dating the most powerful guy in school and everything's fallen apart around you. What aren't you telling me? Hana wanted to confide everything. But how do you explain immortal fox spirits to someone whose biggest concern was university entrance exams? Jisoo, I can't explain right now, can't or won't. Jisoo's eyes held hurt and fear and something else. Betrayal. I thought we were friends. I thought you trusted me. I do trust you, but this is dangerous. The less you know, the safer you are. Don't treat me like a child, Jisoo's voice hardened. You've changed. You're not the friend I knew. Maybe Yuna was right about you all along. That conversation haunted Hana for days. She didn't know that Jisoo, hurt and frightened and jealous of losing her only friend to someone like Min-joon, had already started talking to others. Didn't know that information was flowing back to Sang-hyun, that every detail of Hana's routine was being mapped and cataloged. The betrayal came during the lunar eclipse. Hana woke to darkness and bindings, rough rope cutting into her wrists. The Lee Mansion's basement stretched around her, walls carved with ancient symbols that glowed faintly blue in the darkness. Sang-hyun stood over her like a dark priest at an altar, and beside him, Jisoo? Her friend stood there in expensive clothes Hana had never seen her wear, diamond earrings catching the foxfire light. She wouldn't meet Hana's eyes. I'm sorry. But they promised they wouldn't hurt you. They just need a little blood. That's all, just enough to restore our clan's immortality, Sang-hyun finished smoothly. He produced a silver knife that looked older than nations. Your friend was quite informative about your routines, made the abduction simple. He traced the blade along Hana's arm without cutting. This won't kill you. We're not monsters, but your blood holds the key to breaking the greater curse, the one that binds all Gumiho. Your grandmother's bloodline created it. Yours will end it. You should be honored to free us. Father, stop! Min-joon appeared at the basement entrance, foxfire flickering weakly around his hands, like dying candles. I won't let you do this. You're barely standing. Sang-hyun's voice held disappointment so deep it was almost pity. You've grown too human, boy. Too weak. I should have claimed her blood the moment I sensed it, but I wanted to give you a chance to prove yourself. You failed. Father and son faced each other across the ritual space. The air crackled with power. Sang-hyun's ancient and vast as an ocean, Min-joon's fading like dying stars. She's mine, Min-joon said quietly. You taught me that claiming is law. I claimed her publicly, that protection still holds. Law? Sang-hyun's laugh echoed off stone walls. I am the law. I've ruled this clan for 3 centuries. No lovesick boy will... Min-joon attacked. Foxfire exploded between them, blue and silver flames that cast dancing shadows across ancient symbols. They moved faster than human eyes could follow, power crackling, but Min-joon was too weak. Sang-hyun's counterattack sent him crashing into the wall with a sickening crack. He slumped, blood trickling from his temple. Pathetic. Sang-hyun turned back to Hana, raising the silver knife. Now, let's begin. Wait, Hana's voice cut through the tension. I'll give you my blood. All of it, but on one condition. Sang-hyun paused, curiosity flickering across his ancient face. You're hardly in a position to negotiate. You want to break the curse, but do you know what happens if you just take my blood by force? Hana met his ancient eyes, without flinching, channeling every ounce of her grandmother's strength. My grandmother's magic requires willing sacrifice. Blood taken by violence will poison you, corrupt your entire line, turn your immortality into a living death. But if I give it freely with the proper ritual, you get what you want. It was a lie. She had no idea if that was true, but she'd learned one thing about immortals in these weeks. They were cautious about curses, paranoid about magic that had trapped them before. Sang-hyun studied her for a long moment. Behind them, Min-joon stirred weakly, trying to rise. And your condition? Let Min-joon live. Let him choose his own path. Human or Gumiho, alive or dead, that's his choice, not yours. You release him from clan obligations forever. Hana, no. Min-joon tried to rise, but his strength had failed completely. Deal, Sang-hyun said, something like respect flickering in his eyes. Your blood for his freedom. A worthy trade. The ritual began at midnight when the eclipse reached totality. Sang-yoon arranged Hana at the center of carved symbols that had been old when Korea was young. The eclipse was visible through a skylight above, the moon bleeding red. Other Gumiho gathered in the shadows, their eyes gleaming with hunger and hope, foxfire illuminating ancient faces. Min-joon knelt beside her, tears streaming down his face. "Don't do this. Please, we'll find another way. We'll run, we'll hide, we'll—" "There is no other way." Hana smiled through her own tears, touching his face gently. "You wanted to feel human. This is the most human thing, loving someone enough to let them go, loving someone enough to save them even if it destroys you. I can't lose you. You won't." She pressed her forehead to his. Energy doesn't die. It transforms. Maybe that's what love is. Transformation that outlasts death, that changes everything it touches. Sang-hyun raised the silver knife, ancient words spilling from his lips in a language older than Korean. "Any last words?" Hana looked at Min-joon, memorizing his face. "Thank you for making me feel seen, for making me matter, for being my first and last kiss that meant something real." She kissed him one final time. His lips tasted of salt tears and desperate hope and everything good she'd ever known. When they parted, she nodded to Sang-hyun. The blade cut deep. Her blood flowed into channels carved centuries ago, filling the symbols with crimson light that grew brighter and brighter. Hana gasped as power ripped through her, her grandmother's magic, dormant in her veins all these years, suddenly awakening like a beast stretching after a long sleep. The curse responded, ancient bonds snapping one by one. But something went wrong. The magic didn't stop with breaking the curse. It grew, expanded, fed by her willingness to sacrifice, by the purity of her choice. Blue foxfire erupted from Hana's body, consuming her flesh, transforming blood and bone into pure energy that blazed like a star. Sang-hyun screamed. The other Gumiho shrieked as their immortality burned away, 3 centuries of stolen life returning to the earth in one catastrophic release. Bodies turned to ash, to memory, to nothing. The basement filled with blue light so bright it was blinding. Only Min-joon remained, sheltered by Hana's final gift, the foxfire that had been her body, her soul, her love. It flowed into him like rain, into thirsty earth like coming home. The curse broke completely, but instead of destroying him, it transformed him, made him mortal, made him human, made him whole. When the light faded, Min-joon knelt alone in a room full of ashes, Hana's clothes pooled empty before him like shed skin. "No," his voice cracked. "No, no, no." But she was gone, dissolved into foxfire, into magic, into the space between heartbeats. 6 months later, Min-joon lived in a small apartment in Hongdae, surrounded by canvases. He'd given up the Lee fortune, the mansion, everything that reminded him of immortality. He painted now, obsessively, desperately. Every canvas showed the same scene, a girl made of blue flames, smiling as she dissolved into light. At night, the paintings glowed, just faintly, just enough. He visited her grave in a quiet cemetery outside Seoul every Sunday. No body to bury, but he'd placed a marker anyway. Sometimes, when the moon was right, he'd see a flicker of blue light dancing over the stone. "I feel everything now," he told her marker, arranging fresh flowers. "Pain, joy, hunger, exhaustion. You made me human, and it's terrible and beautiful, and I hate that you're not here to see it." He touched the stone gently. "But I feel you sometimes. In the spaces between thoughts, in the warmth of sunlight, in every kind thing I try to do. You're not gone, you're everywhere." The foxfire flickered, and for just a moment, he could swear he felt her hand in his, warm and real. "Thank you," he whispered, "for breaking my curse, for teaching me that love isn't about possession or power or immortality. It's about transformation, about becoming something new because someone else saw who you could be and loved that person enough to set them free." The blue light danced once more, brighter now, forming almost into a shape, a girl watching. Smiling, Min-joon stood, shoulder in his bag. He had a shift at a community center teaching art to refugee children. Hana would have liked that, would have smiled her quiet smile and told him he was doing good, that he was finally living instead of just existing. He carried her in every heartbeat, every breath, every choice to be kind when cruelty would be easier. The kiss that broke the spell had also broken him open, and in that break-in made him whole. Behind him, unseen by mortal eyes, blue foxfire formed a shape, a girl watching with love and pride as her sacrifice walked forward into his human life. Energy doesn't die, it transforms. And love, true love, transforms everything it touches into something that outlasts even death itself. If this story moved you, if you felt Hana's sacrifice and Min-joon's transformation in your bones, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories where magic meets emotion and love transcends even death. Drop a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Was it the first kiss, the betrayal, or the final sacrifice? Your thoughts fuel my creativity. Until next time, remember, the most powerful magic isn't immortality. It's being brave enough to love someone more than you fear losing them.